At 14:47 Moscow time, October 22, 2025, a 1.5-pound warhead strapped to a drone traveling at 120 miles per hour is exactly 15 seconds from turning Vladimir Putin's multi-billion-dollar nuclear war game into the world's most expensive comedy skit. The moment the Budapest peace talks collapsed, Putin threw a tantrum, ordering a massive nuclear exercise to flex his muscles for the world. Yar's ICBMs rolled out. Borei-class submarines armed with 16 city-killing Balava missiles slipped into the sea. To Russia, the Barents Sea was an impregnable fortress. They were wrong. Ukraine wasn't intimidated. They were watching. Using Starlink and intel from a base in Norway, they saw the whole theatrical display. And they decided to crash the party. They weren't aiming for the muscle. They were aiming for the nervous system. The target? A single $2 million mobile radar antenna. It was the brain of the entire operation. Take out the brain, and Putin's big nuclear drill becomes a globally televised joke. On paper, this mission is pure suicide. The Barents Sea is a hellscape of ice and fog crawling with Spetsnaz patrols. The air itself is a weapon, defended by the Krasuka 4 electronic warfare system, which can jam signals for 186 miles. And anything that punches through that is supposed to be obliterated by Panzer S-1 missiles. So how do you sneak a flock of tiny drones through that iron curtain? The answer is an insane and brilliant strategy that turns Russia's own environment into the ultimate weapon, transforming their drill into a festival of failure. At 13:30 Moscow time, while Putin's missiles threaten the world with a nuclear fire drill, a quiet airbase in Bardufoss, Norway, becomes the staging ground for the world's most audacious prank. This isn't just Ukraine's fight anymore, this is Europe pushing back. 4 Gogol-M mother drones lift off into the icy air, initiating a strategy of ecological camouflage. They slide into a V formation, mimicking a migratory bird flock, and level off at 500 feet, just under the effective gaze of Russia's fog-degraded Nebo-M radar. As they approach the 20-mile line from the Russian exercise zone, the bait is prepared. One Gogol-M, designated the Judas drone, subtly breaks formation. Its mission: to be seen. It begins broadcasting a juicy X-band signal, a dinner bell for any Russian radar operator paying attention. The trap is now set. The Russians are about to spot what they believe is a clumsy lone attacker. They have no idea it's an invitation to a much bigger, much more explosive party. At 14:15 Moscow time, on a Russian Nebo-M radar screen, the Judas drone's signal appears as a faint, tantalizing blip. It's not a clean lock, but it's enough. The operator gives the order, and the Judas drone releases its 3 FPV offspring. At that exact moment, a violent 40-knot gust of wind kicks one of the tiny drones just high enough to give the Russians a clear signal. One order, one launch, a single Panzer S-1 missile screams into the fog. Below, a Spetsnaz patrol on the ice hears the roar. They look up just in time to see what looks like a seabird vaporize in a flash of fire and tungsten fragments. Their hunt for NATO spies just got a lot weirder. But that missile launch is a death sentence for the Russians' situational awareness. The moment that missile leaves the rail, the Judas drone lights up its powerful X-band jammer, a 5-second blast of electronic chaos that gives the Krasuka 4 system a splitting headache. In that 5-second window of digital blindness, the other 3 Gogol-M drones, which had been flying completely silent, execute the real plan. They pivot hard, using the storm as cover, and release their 9 remaining FPV birds from a completely new and unexpected attack vector. The element of surprise is now shattered. They're down 1 FPV drone. And worse, there are now elite Spetsnaz teams actively sweeping the ice, hunting for more of these very strange, very explosive birds. The ghost in the machine is gone. The hunt is now physical. And the question is, are 9 drones enough to finish the job? At 14:20 Moscow time, while Spetsnaz teams are chasing ghosts on the ice, the real attack is evolving. The 9 remaining FPV drones activate their biojammer. This is where it gets truly insane. They begin broadcasting the digitized calls of local seabirds across a 2 to 8 kilohertz frequency. Simultaneously, their AI flight controllers, fed real-time wind data via Starlink, stop flying in straight lines. They begin to dip, weave, and glide, perfectly mimicking the chaotic, unpredictable flight patterns of a real bird flock. Here's why that's a genius move. Russia's multi-million-dollar Krasika 4 system is programmed to filter out natural interference. Its Doppler filter is looking for the steady hum of an engine and the predictable path of a machine. It's not looking for what sounds and flies like a panicked puffin. Ukraine is hiding their wolves in a flock of digital sheep. Then, the next layer of the plan unfolds. As they skim the ice, each of the 9 FPVs releases 2 tiny mini-drones. These are the real killers. 18 bomblets, each carrying a 0.2-pound charge, immediately dive for cover, tucking themselves into the cracks and crevasses of the Barents ice sheet, completely invisible from the air. While this micro-drama plays out, the mother drones create a macro distraction. 2 Gogol-Ms climb to 1,000 feet and start broadcasting a new signal, one that mimics a much larger NATO reconnaissance plane. This forces the powerful Panzer S-1 system to point its horns upward, wasting its time and attention on a phantom threat. The third mother drone sees a Spetsnaz soldier on the ice raise a shoulder-fired Igla-S missile. In response, it spits out an ALE-50 decoy, a flare of pure heat that sends the missile on a wild goose chase. The Russians are now completely disoriented, looking up at fake planes and chasing fake birds. So they bring in a new set of eyes, the powerful surface search radar of a Borei-class nuclear submarine that has just surfaced. The stakes have just been raised exponentially. Can 18 tiny bomblets hiding in the ice evade the gaze of a nuclear leviathan? At 14:28 Moscow time. Just when the plan seems to be working, the Barents Sea decides to join the fight. The wind howls to a furious 40 knots. It grabs one of the FPV drones, its battery already screaming at 20%, and shoves it violently off course, straight towards the massive black hull of the Borei submarine. It's a high-stakes game of Tom and Jerry, except Tom is a nuclear submarine and Jerry is carrying a bomb. The Ukrainian pilot pulls up just in time to avoid a collision, but the damage is done. A Spetsnaz operator on the submarine's deck doesn't hesitate. He raises his Igla-S shoulder-fired missile. A streak of fire, a puff of smoke, and the FPV is gone. But losing one drone isn't the disaster. The disaster is what saw it happen. High above the storm, a Russian Beriev A-50 AWACS plane, the Eye of Sauron in the sky, was watching the whole thing. The brief, chaotic dogfight gives the A-50 crew exactly what they need. They get a clean, undeniable lock on one of the Gogol-M mother drones. This is the nightmare scenario. If the A-50 can track one, it can find them all. The entire operation is seconds from being wiped out. The Ukrainian pilot, 200 miles away, plays his final craziest card. He hits a command for a controlled self-destruction. The Gogol-M doesn't explode. Instead, it spits out a cloud of black smoke and a flare of intense heat. Its transponder sends one final panicked data burst, then goes silent. To the A-50 operator, it looks like a catastrophic engine failure. He marks the target as destroyed and turns his attention back to the larger search area. The trick worked. They've just faked their own death to escape the all-seeing eye. The mission is still alive? Barely. At 14:35 Moscow time, the A-50 has been tricked, the Spetsnaz are on a wild goose chase, and the Russian radar operators are staring at a screen full of phantom birds. The moment of maximum confusion has arrived. The final play begins. The order is given, and from the cracks in the ice, 16 mini-drones spring to life. They're not flying, they're skating, using the jagged crevasses as their own personal trench run, staying completely below the radar horizon of the Borei submarine. As they launch, the 3 remaining Gogol-M mother drones go on the offensive. They unleash one final coordinated blast of X-band jamming. It's the electronic equivalent of a flashbang grenade designed to give the Panzer S-1 system 10 seconds of total crippling blindness. In that 10-second window, the first mini-drone reaches the target. It doesn't slam into the mobile radar with a massive explosion. It hits the primary antenna dish with a precise tink. The 0.2-pound charge has a 0.5-second fuse delay. That's not a mistake, it's a design feature. It gives the drone just enough time to penetrate the antenna's outer shell before detonating inside the delicate electronics. It's a tiny scalpel, not a sledgehammer. The result is instantaneous. The antenna doesn't just bend, it shreds from the inside out. Shrapnel severs the primary data cables. The brain of the Panzer is short-circuited. Its eyes are blind. Its ears are ringing. As the Russian operators stare at their dead screens, the 4th Gogol-M, its mission complete, banks hard and quietly heads back to Norway carrying the 4K video evidence of their success. The shield is down, the fortress is breached, and the real chaos is about to begin. At 14:36 Moscow time, The first mini-drone doesn't explode on contact. It penetrates the antenna's outer shell, its tiny body burrowing deep inside. That half-second fuse delay is everything. Then a single sharp crack. It's not a boom. It's the sound of a $2 million piece of high-tech military hardware being shattered from the inside, like a sledgehammer hitting a crystal glass. This wasn't brute force. This was a physics lesson delivered with explosive punctuation. First, the fuse. That half-second delay was the key. It allowed the warhead to get past the armor and detonate inside the unit's electronic guts, where it's soft and vulnerable. Second, the energy release. That tiny 0.2-pound charge doesn't create a giant fireball. It creates a hyper-focused shockwave of over 1,000 psi. In that enclosed space, the pressure pulse has nowhere to go. It instantly fries every unshielded circuit board and melts the delicate microprocessors. The result is a structural cascade failure. The antenna dish doesn't just get a hole. The internal supports shatter, and the entire assembly cracks in half, slumping over like a dead flower. The immediate effect is total blindness. The command signal is severed. For the next critical minutes, the entire air defense network is deaf, dumb, and blind. The immediate aftermath isn't a giant explosion, it's a wave of pure, unadulterated chaos. For the 3 Russian officers standing too close to the antenna, their world is instantly erased from the exercise. On the bridge of the Borei-class submarine, the world just went silent. 1 second, the captain was receiving a constant stream of data from Central Command. The next, his screen is a dead black void. His primary link to the entire nuclear command structure is gone. His orders are clear. In the event of a communications blackout during a high-alert drill, assume the worst. He gives the one command that makes sense: dive, dive, dive! And the 24,000-ton nuclear Leviathan panics, crashing beneath the waves to escape a threat it cannot see or understand. On the ice, it's pure slapstick comedy. Elite Spetsnaz soldiers armed with state-of-the-art weapons are staring at a twisted piece of smoking metal, trying to figure out if they were just attacked by a flock of angry seagulls. But the confirmation isn't coming from the ground, it's coming from space. While the Russians are still trying to figure out what just happened, Kyiv already has the after-action review. A crystal-clear satellite image, courtesy of Starlink, shows the radar antenna snapped in half, its dish pointing uselessly at the ice. The prank is confirmed. The kill is confirmed. The real damage wasn't a $2 million broken antenna. It was the complete and total paralysis of Russia's nuclear nervous system at the exact moment they were trying to show it off to the world. The first domino to fall is command and control. The Yar's ICBM launchers on the Plesetsk launch pad sit deaf and dumb. The Tu-95 bombers circling overhead can no longer receive updated targeting data. The Borei submarine is now a 24,000-ton ghost, unable to receive the authenticated launch codes that are the bedrock of nuclear safety. Putin's entire nuclear triad, the ultimate symbol of Russian power, has been effectively muted. To understand the scale of this disaster for Russia, you have to look back to the morning of June 5, 1967. In the opening hours of the Six-Day War, the Israeli Air Force launched Operation Focus. They didn't attack the Egyptian army, they attacked the runways. In just 3 hours, they turned the most powerful air force in the Middle East into the world's largest collection of expensive lawn ornaments, simply by denying them the ability to take off. What Ukraine did with 16 mini-drones was a 21st century digital version of that same brilliant playbook. They didn't attack the nuclear missile, they attacked the signal. They took out the runway for the data. They proved that you don't need to destroy the fist if you can simply sever the nerve that tells it to clench. The second domino is the operational paralysis of the entire Northern Fleet. With their primary command and control node for the exercise shattered, the entire drill grinds to a halt. Fuel tankers for the fleet hold their position, waiting for orders that never come. Supporting vessels are stuck in a state of confusion. And while Russia's entire northern command is stuck in this state of self-induced paralysis, Ukraine exploits the chaos. Within the next 48 hours, they launch coordinated pushes on 3 separate fronts in the Donbass, knowing that the Russian high command is distracted, embarrassed, and pointing fingers at each other. The final domino is psychological. The shockwave hits the Kremlin hardest. Putin tried to use nuclear threats to bully the world after the Budapest peace talks failed. Instead, he just got his multi-billion-dollar war machine turned off by a flock of fake seagulls launched from a NATO country. The paranoia is immediate. The official narrative becomes that this was a complex NATO attack, that they hacked the birds. He can't admit that a few $1,000s worth of Ukrainian ingenuity just made his entire nuclear arsenal look like a joke on the world stage. So let's do the math. 4 mother drones, 12 FPVs, and a handful of bomblets the size of a coffee cup. With that, Ukraine didn't just disrupt a military exercise, they hijacked the entire narrative. They proved that in the age of asymmetric warfare, you don't need a giant missile to cripple a superpower. You just need a smarter idea and the courage to execute it. The lesson from the Barents Sea is simple. Never start a nuclear war game when your enemy has a better sense of humor and better technology than you do.